go for this first podcast?
Ready. Let's take it away.
All right. So we're bringing to you the first Building People, Companies, and Careers podcast, which is in Charlotte, North Carolina, where Amy Pack and myself, Patty Comer, are headquartered, our company, AccruePartners. And we thought we would share our stories about our candidates, our clients, our internal story to AccruePartners, and everything that we feel like will benefit people in job searching and career stories and our success as an entrepreneur. We get lots of questions. So this is not our first rodeo with a podcast. We actually started our online career on radio when we were on WBT Sports Talk Radio. We actually started a employment show by a gentleman named Jake Gurley. He was incredible. He's passed away. But he met with Amy and I in our office in South End and was like, hey ladies, you need to be the voice of employment radio on Sports Talk. And we were like, what? But it was so much fun. It made the phone ring, and we really loved sharing the stories in Charlotte about the employment landscape. So that's similar to kind of taking that to the next level.
Yeah, because we had our clients on there giving testimonials, our candidates on there giving testimonials, and hey, we were the only women on Sports Talk Radio.
Yeah, it did make the phone ring.
Yeah.
Jake promised us that for our spend, so we miss him dearly. But this is a new, I guess, 2023 version of that as a podcast. So I think one of the things that would be good for the initial starting of the podcast, since we're in the employment business or total talent solutions business, is talk a little bit about the tell me about yourself question in the interview. We always coach people on that. So I thought it'd be great to start that with you and be like, hey, Amy, so tell me about yourself.
Yeah, so thanks, Patty. Well, I'm originally from Atlanta. Was born and raised there. Well, actually born in South Georgia, but raised in Atlanta. Went to Georgia Southern, graduated, and the funny joke at the office is I actually sold computer training in my first job, and I think at AccruePartners everybody wants me away from the technology because I always break it. But that's actually how I landed in the staffing industry. You know, nobody graduates from school or college thinking they're going to be a recruiter or be in the staffing industry, but that's how I landed in it. Started in the commercial side, as most of us do.
Beepers.
Yes, beepers, third shift.
Pantyhose.
Yeah, skirts, heels.
7 a.m., 3 p.m., 11 p.m.
On the loading dock. And then I had the pleasure, once you master the recruiting, then you can go into sales, and then you can be a branch manager, and then you can bust into the professional staffing side. So moved to Atlanta. That's when I had my first opportunity in professional staffing. I got to go back to Atlanta, and believe it or not, at that time I was my mom's competitor because she was in the business at the time. And so that shortly thereafter is when Patty and I had an opportunity, or you and I had an opportunity to cross paths at Accountants on Call, and as we like to say, that was kind of the demise of everything after that. So that's a little bit about my short story. What about yours, Patty?
Well, before we go into tell me about your story, I want to talk about that brown and green outfits we had on. I think I was in green and you were in brown in the reverse, and we met each other at the airport, and it was, a marriage.
Yes.
So we had to share a hotel room 5 times a year for a week, or 4 times a year for a week, to go to these conferences on the West Coast. CEO would start the meeting at 8 p.m. and we were always, thank God, on the top of the list, or we would have had to sat through that all night. And now in our 50s, I would have probably fallen asleep at 9 p.m. West Coast time.
Yeah.
But hey, it was fun. We learned a lot. That was a great experience. But when we launched our company, I think we knew we were ready. So my tell me about yourself story is, I'm from the eastern part of the state in Fayetteville, North Carolina. My dad was in the Army. I grew up kind of back and forth overseas with his job. I went to Wilmington, ended up in Atlanta looking for a job during the middle of the Gulf War in 1991, which is what you had said. And at that time, I ended up in staffing and had the opportunity to take on branches and a franchise, and actually moved here to Charlotte. And my office in Charlotte was called Timpson Company, and we did I was started in light industrial staffing like you, but I also did office clerical staffing. So we had an office at 6000 Fairview Road. I think a competitor currently has that address. But at the time, Ric Flair was there. So that's where I put my office. He made smoothies at the Gold's Gym. And we would come into the office and have a good time filling lots of job orders for office clerical. No, women in electronics was my little gig. I did a lot of women in plants making manufacturing devices with tiny hands. So that ended up, franchise was sold. I made a little bit of money and I went to Accountants on Call and I met you in my fancy, pretty brown and green suit. And we became closest friends and launched AccruePartners in 2020. Was the 2000, not 2020.
2002.
2002.
We started our business plan in 2001.
Yes, Project Independence.
Yeah.
That thing called Excel that we love.
Mm-hmm.
We would pass this Excel file around trying to write our budget. So, so in 2002, we launched AccruePartners. It was right after 9/11. There was absolutely no business to be had. We were flying, by the seat of our pants, knowing that we had to get this thing off the ground. So we would ride around at night after you put Kipling down to sleep. I'd pick her up at 7 o'clock in Cotswold, and we'd drive around 10, 11 o'clock
hours and hours at night looking for office space. We knew we didn't want to be in traditional offices. We didn't want to be uptown in parking decks. We wanted something super non-traditional, and we found it.
Yeah,
and it actually had been a staffing office with a large national firm prior to, and we found this place and fully furnished, had all their marketing materials that we had to throw away. And I think you called the corporate office and said, hey, we found this office that you have closed the doors on, and there's all this stuff there. We want to buy it. They didn't even know what was there.
Yeah, they wanted us to send them a list, so we sent them a slim list. It was an old boss, and I called him up, and I was like, hey, Marty, we want to sublease this. And he's like, okay, you can, but what's in there? So we fudged just a teeny bit. And they never ended up They invoiced us, but we never paid, or they never invoiced us.
Yeah. But hey, we got our phone systems, our fax machines, our desk, all the things that we needed those first 3, 4, 5 years that were critical.
Yeah, it was a cool space. We had a lot of fun in there, smiling and dialing, trying to win customers. And in the beginning, Charlotte, is a smaller town. We certainly have benefited from being in one of the fastest growing cities in America. But at that time, a lot of our customers were smaller, real estate construction. You happened to meet a CEO at PF Chang's. Is that even open in South Park anymore?
It is. Yeah, it is still there. Greg Keith,
yes.
The Keith Corporation.
So you met him. He introduced us to a bunch of CEOs, and we were really lucky. Your sales charm always makes things work well for us. So he opened doors, and we had lots of real estate and commercial construction clients. Like, that was really what carried us.
Back then it was about 30-40% of our customer base.
Yeah.
And it's been fun to see. Charlotte's been great to us. As we like to say, the Queen City's been a gift, I guess. And our customer base has been really indicative of the companies in the landscape in Charlotte, whether it's manufacturing, distribution, technology.
We do get that a lot. So, like, people always want to know what is the mix of Charlotte, because if you're not from here, you think we are the Wall Street of the South and B of A and Wells rule everything, and it's just not the case. And we don't build any of those. We've been here 22 years. How would you describe the landscape of the Charlotte?
Yeah, I would say that all of our customers are that of Charlotte. We do have our fair share of financial services clients, and that's been really since the onset of COVID. Prior to that, we had one pretty substantial client in financial services that helped us get all of the additional customers in that space. But prior to, it has been the traditional manufacturing, distribution, technology, healthcare services, nonprofit, real estate, retail.
And tech. We had some tech.
Yes, tech. But it is kind of interesting. People that live here and work in one company, they don't realize if they are in financial services that there is a lot of other industries here, or if they are in technology, they don't realize the manufacturing and distribution that is located here. Maybe the actual manufacturing doesn't happen here, but the corporate offices are sitting in Charlotte. So that is something unique. It insulates us to some degree. It gives a great variety for careers and career growth, and growth for the city, and it, provides a lot of opportunity for people to want to move to Charlotte and that want some greater diversification.
Yeah, we do get a very creative, up-and-coming class of workers
Mhm.
attracted to Charlotte for all the wonderful things it has to offer, mountains, beach, but yet South End, and you've got your parents can live in Ballantyne, your kids can live in South End, and they get mortgages, they can live in Plaza Midwood.
There you go. We need them all to have a mortgage.
Yeah, all have a job
Yeah.
where they can hire people. That's what we really need them to do. But I'm looking forward to the new Innovation Center for Healthcare that's coming, and our medical school should bring some research companies, and maybe we can give Research Triangle Park a run for their money
Yeah.
since they probably already hate Charlotte. So
Yeah, we'll just be even more of a competitor.
yeah, they're not winning any financial services
No.
landscape. So I think Charlotte, the geographic timing of launching our company and just the creative class of workers has really propelled the building companies, people, companies, and careers is really that story. And we have so many people that we placed 20 years ago that are now in the C-suite, that are clients. Charlotte has the biggest small city feeling that you'll
Yeah, the
experience.
biggest, smallest city you'll ever meet.
Yeah, you say that a lot.
Yeah, the
That's-
next thing is be careful the toes you step on, because it will be the ash you, what is it?
Be careful of the people you piss off today. It'll be the ass you kiss
Tomorrow.
tomorrow. I mean, I only have a few of those. Mine might fit on 2 hands. Yours is probably only on 1, but I'm getting better.
So, Charlotte's great though.
I
And
would,
lots of people want to move here, and our clients realize that. Not all the talent's sitting here, but at the end of the day, people want to get here, and that's important. As the city continues to grow, companies move here, companies grow here. So,
yeah,
and back to building people, companies, and careers. That's what we're about.
yeah, absolutely. So I guess maybe take a quick plug before we move into rapid fire. Tell us a little bit about AccruePartners. Like, how would you describe who we are, Amy?
Yeah, so I would say that we are a highly connected, search firm, whether that's contract search or project solutions. Very much relationship oriented. We at AccruePartners, we have a saying. It's about the relationship. A candidate's a client. A client's a candidate. A candidate's a client. And as Patty mentioned just a few minutes ago, it's been super fun to see our candidates over the years become our clients, and then we place their kids and referrals of their neighbors and friends and other people, and to see really just life come full circle over 22 years now, or almost 22. The relationships that we've seen and the careers that we've impacted over those times, and it's always fun to see, the impact you're making on someone's life, whether it's client, candidate, or even internal. We have so many employees internally that have been with us for 8, 10,
We have
11 years.
one coming up 10 years in 3 months.
And
So.
we have a number of boomerangs. People started with us earlier in their career, went and thought the grass was greener on the other side, and they've come back. But, back to your question, how would I describe AccruePartners? I mean, we're really, a relationship-driven business. We really care about the outcome of the placement on the client and the candidate side. We work with passion and purpose. We work to really make it happen. These are all of our core values, and we talk about the core values at AccruePartners a lot. They're important to us.
Yeah, and I think for me personally, knowing the sustainability of our company because of the diversity. So having 6 lines of business, really, anything in a corporate office that's firing, accounting and finance, marketing, IT, if you have a corporate office, you're going to have those functions.
Right.
And so, the different cycles that we've been through, especially with this current recessionary and inflationary environment, it's interesting to see what lines of business do well. And like right now, accounting and finance is hot. Last year, we couldn't birth enough tech people and marketing people. And also the customer experience because of COVID, our corporate services function. So I do like that every year it is kind of a pain in the tail when you have to whack-a-mole, different divisions. But some divisions, some years are stronger than others. And if we were only in one segment, it would not be
hard.
The same story. I don't think we would have the same story. So
Yeah.
our business reflects the people and the careers and the companies that are in Charlotte. I mean, our company is a massive mirror to that. So
Well, when we get into a company, we learn the company, the culture, their initiatives, technologies. Once we get into accounting and finance, segueing to marketing, and back to your point, it just gives us a greater opportunity to build those relationships and insulates us in an environment where there's some unknowns.
yeah, I mean, I don't think we're insulated.
No.
We're always.
We were sitting in one place, it would be harder.
Yeah, no, but it definitely gives us a lot more hope than if you, like this year, if you were in technology, we'd be starving.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't want any peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Yeah, no, you don't. Okay, so we have told a little bit about us. We didn't want to consume the first podcast with just that story, but we thought it was important to introduce ourselves and share the AccruePartners Building People, Companies, and Career story. And one of the things that I think will be great with the future guests that we have, if they're candidates or internal or clients or whatever, is kind of a rapid fire session. I love hearing those on podcasts, so we're going to move into a 5-question rapid fire by our marketing specialist, Leah, and we're going to take that on next.
Okay, the first question is, what do you think about being a woman-owned business?
I always tell people I put my panties on the same way people put drawers on. I know that's not politically correct. And I don't like competing on just the diversity or We Bank alone, because I feel like we have the best company in the industry. I don't want to compete on one particular women-owned, but I do think that there's a difference with working in a women-owned company. I mean, we are very attentive to a lot of details that no one else would care about.
Right.
And one thing that kind of rings true to me about that is that candidates are clients and clients are candidates, and we're really brave and bold in explaining that relationship is the same. My client today that may have gotten a message about layoffs at their company, I'm going to call them and I'm available to be a resource for that person to be a candidate. So I feel like maybe not in all companies we're so relationship because we're women. That does sit different to me, that we are very relationship driven on the candidate, client, and internal. Like we want relationships with our team. I don't know that might exist in other places.
Yeah. And while we're women owned, I mean, that's one thing, but at the end of the day, you have to produce.
Yeah.
You have to have a positive outcome. And without that, you don't have anything. So, I mean, that's really the crux of it at the end of the day. I mean, we get kudos and check marks because we are women-owned, but it's never really won us any business. It kind of is
Yeah, we don't show up to work and be like,
afterthought.
oh, we're women-owned, we're at work.
Yeah.
We're coming to work with all of our armor to kill our competition. I
Yeah.
don't care what they are.
Question 2 is, how do you handle disagreements between the two of you?
Yeah, so, we really don't have a lot of disagreements. We may, I would say more times than not, we agree. We may have a different point of view to some degree, and we would talk it out and go, okay, well, that sounds great. Well, let's run with that, or, put our two thoughts together and run with it. But, I would say that we have a trust-based relationship, and it works out, and
Yeah, and we have domains, and so
Yeah.
there's one thing about Amy and I's success that is a yin and a yang. Like, if there's anything going on, Amy's really focused on the client's needs, and I'm focused on the candidate. And you can't have one of those off balance in staffing or talent to be successful. You have to have
Right.
an equal. So we've really, I think, jointly come to the table with different perspectives that have worked for us.
yeah, been healthy.
Yeah, and if and now that we've grown and our size and scope is 70 plus internals and 200 consultants, like we have domains we're responsible for, and we always just go back to each other and say, hey, I've got to make this decision. I thought about this. Here's what I think. Here's how much it cost. What do you think, Amy? And so we do bounce each other ideas off each other, and if we do disagree, we're in private.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen often. Most of it's just bouncing ideas and what do you think, or I'm worried about this, or what do you think we should do? It's very, I can't even count on one hand the times that we have, and most of the time we're completing each other's sentences, so it's like an old married couple.
Question 3 is, what are some aspects of staffing that keep you around?
Yeah, I would say the relationships. I mean, it's always very meaningful and impactful when you have made someone, you've made a difference in someone's life, right? You help them find that next job that's going to propel them and their family. And then you're also helping your client identify a key talent for their organization, fill a void in their org chart that's going to help them propel. And it's just keeping those relationships alive. And then internally to AccruePartners, seeing people's careers grow. We have a lot of great career growth at AccruePartners. And so it's all of that really comes full circle. That's very rewarding at the end of the day. knowing that we started going on 22 years ago, and there were 2 of us. And now that we're really impacting the lives of 70 plus internal to AccruePartners and all the people that we place every day. We take it very seriously and very much to heart.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. I think for me, there's a competitive spirit with the staffing industry, and I like to be needed. And so knowing that people can rely on me, and a client calls and they're in a panic, somebody resigned and they need something, or they need to put someone on a performance improvement plan, and they need us to back talent so that when that person's fired, or they're not caught with their pants down, or to have a placement that you made. I just had this happen 2 weeks ago. 2 things happened that I was like, I love this job. I placed a CFO 6 years ago, and a very significant nonprofit here in Charlotte, and he sent us an email and said, my son works at EY and he's unhappy and he's looking for a job. So the fact that I placed him and he trusted me with his son out of EY, which is amazing that we can recruit people out of EY to go to clients. And so that was just like, I love that. Like he trusted me to his own, his child, and that there's nothing greater than that feeling. Or somebody who you placed 6-7 years ago is getting promoted to a VP, and they send you a note and say, hey, they want to promote me, but here's what they're offering me in comp. What do you think? And just being able to really have a seat in that person's life. And this gentleman that was being promoted has a wife and 2 kids, and it's impactful. Like, outside of your health and your family, the next thing is your job and your career. I think that's what really keeps me going, is that people really rely on us to do good work and take good care of them.
Mm-hmm.
Question 4 is, what is your favorite lunch spot in Charlotte?
Well, pre-COVID, that would have been easy. Favorite lunch?
Well, we had Ray Lay today. We had
that
soup.
was
It's
really
kind
good.
of overcast, so we were like, get us some pho or pho,
Mhm.
however you say it. How do you say it, Leah?
Pho.
So we had that today. But I mean, we're always on the prowl for lunch. Our offices are at 1000 West Moorhead, near it's at the Panther Stadium. There's no food. So lunch spots are hard. We love sushi. We can't find anywhere worth a...
We did find Velvet Taco not too long ago. That was pretty.
Yeah.
A good, something different.
Yeah, we like that. We also survive on Flower Child. We survive on
P.O.P.O.
We survive on pasta and provisions.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are all of our favorite lunch spots. We don't go out for lunch anymore very much, unless it's a client.
Mhm.
We work through lunch. I mean, COVID was kind of like nobody left, and
A game changer with that.
Yeah, so we work through lunch a lot. We have working meetings. We order in lunch for everyone, and we actually work and eat and break bread with people. I actually enjoy that, instead of like rushing out to go get something and not have time with your teammates. And maybe it's just the size and scope of things now. You can't fit everybody in, so lunch is nice. So yeah.
If anybody knows of a good lunch spot, let us know.
Community Matters is also
Yeah.
fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And last question is, what is your favorite saying?
Get shit done.
You have another one you always use too.
My other saying is, work will expand to the time which it's allowed, or dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
Yeah. I think you planned your
So-
first wedding in 2 weeks.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, if you want to get it all done by Thursday, you can get all that and more done.
I just was thinking, you just had your 13th wedding anniversary,
I
right?
did.
And I'm 31, so we're reverse numbers.
Oh, there you go.
Isn't that crazy?
That is.
Yeah, make sure and tell Mark that.
I
tonight.
will.
I have a few favorite sayings. Looks good, smells good is one that people say all the time that I say. And I mean that with just show up with your best self. Be your best person. I don't care what you look like, but show up in your best. Get shit done is another one.
What, you have one more.
100%. I say that. I'm trying to stop saying it. 100%. 100%. Those are my
Yeah.
ones that I say. .com. So we're going to end that rapid fire. So thank you so much for joining our first ever Building People, Companies, and Careers podcast. Our goal is to bring you 1 or 2 of these a month, and they will be a mix of our candidates that we've placed that can share their career stories with you throughout Charlotte, which I think would be great because people can learn about different companies, because we're not going to have B of A and Wells people in here. It's going to be all the other stuff.
Everything indicative of our city.
Yeah. And then some internal folks that want to, share their career story and just whatever might market-wise. Give us any topics you might be interested in. We're happy to speak about them and bring you the expertise. So thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you, Leah.
Thank you.